champions, both at the collegiate and high school levels. Tonight, a third state champion will be anointed. This time, though, it's the big dogs fighting for Class A supremacy. The Huskies of Detroit Redford will try and unseat the defending champion Huskies of Pontiac Northern, and it comes your way only here on Fox Sports Net. How are you, everybody? Only 7 numbers in the history of Michigan State's basketball program have been retired. The last man to wear number 32 is my partner tonight, Greg Kelser. But Gregory, as we set to break down these two matchups, I think we focus on a different number 32, and he wears number 32 for Pontiac Northern, Lester Abram.
Lester Abrams, he's a scholar, he's a gentleman, and he's a terrific basketball player. And he's going to try to help Pontiac Northern get a fast pace going today. Look at his numbers on the season, a double-double, and he brings with him the experience of having played in a game of this magnitude last year. Matt, he can do it all. He can get inside the lefty. He's terrific from the outside. Pontiac Northern won their game, a thriller over Saginaw yesterday, nearing 90 points. That's the type of pace they want. Abram can help him get it.
And he will bring his game for Tommy Amaker to Ann Arbor to play for the Michigan Wolverines next year. He might be playing alongside a younger Husky pup who plays for Detroit Redford, junior Dion Harris.
Well, Harris is a fine basketball player as well. Keep in mind, though, Redford, they won a low-scoring game. But he needs to score. He got 21 points in the semifinal win over Belleville yesterday, made good, efficient use of just 10 shots. In winning their game yesterday, Redford scored 58 points. That's the pace they want. Harris will be key in that effort.
Yeah, a lot of schools are looking at Dion Harris, Michigan, Missouri, Louisville, but he needs to step up big if he hopes to lead Detroit Redford to their first ever state champion. Folks, it is a dog-eat-dog world. But one of these canines will have the basketball world by the tail. The Huskies of Redford and the Huskies of Pontiac Northern, next on Fox Sports Net.
Sometimes
the MHSAA Boys Basketball Finals on Fox Sports Net are brought to you by Michivan Commuter Van Poolen. Make the workout of getting to work. And by Gardner White Furniture. We're known by the money you keep. They continue to file in, and even though this is the house of green and white of Michigan State, it'll be decked out in scarlet and gray for both Huskies of Pontiac Northern and Detroit Redford.
Ladies
now to the
and gentlemen,
announcer, Eric Oforsa.
This time we invite you to stand. Gentlemen, please remove your hats and caps as we honor America. And to join us in the singing of our national anthem this afternoon, we'd like to welcome Andrew Meyer of Jonesville High School, our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Andrew Meyer, Jonesville High School. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Michigan High School Athletic Association welcomes you to the campus of Michigan State University and the Jack Breslin Student Event Center. for this afternoon's final game in the 2002 Class A Boys Basketball Tournament. The teams and athletes in today's competition are giving their best, and they deserve the best from you fans as well. Good sportsmanship brings out the best in all of us. Now let's meet the starting lineup for today's game between the Huskies of Detroit Redford and the Huskies of Pontiac Northern. For Detroit Redford at forward, 6'3", senior, 24, Kendrick Moulton. For Pontiac Northern, forward, 6'4", senior, 24, Derek Ponder. The other forward for Redford, 6'4", junior, 33, Dion Harris. For Northern at forward, 6'6", senior, 32, Lester Abram. For Detroit Redford at center, 6'7", sophomore, 34, Jamal Locke. For Pontiac Northern at center, 6'3", junior, 30, James Smith. At forward for Redford, at guard rather, 6'1", senior, 22, Justin Simmons. At guard for Northern, 6'1", junior, 21, Antonio Bonds. And for Detroit Redford, at guard, 6' sophomore, 23, Vernon Carr. For Pontiac Northern at guard, 6' sophomore, 23, John Cantrell. Head coach, Detroit Redford High School, Derek McDowell. Head coach, Pontiac Northern High School, Robert Rogers. Officials today, Tony Payne, Todd Hoke, and Daryl Henderson.
Pontiac Northern 1-0 in finals play. Detroit Redford 0-1. First time they've been this far since 1997. Let's now welcome the third member of our broadcast team, Trevor Thompson. Trev?
Matt, thanks a lot. You know, the only thing tougher than winning a state championship is perhaps defending that title successfully. Everybody comes out and gives you their very best game every night to knock you off the top of the heap. If you don't believe me, just ask Lester Abram.
Because we know we got a target on our back, so we know we got to come out each night and give it our all and leave it all on the court, or we'll come out and lose. Because we lost to some teams this year that we thought we should have, well, we know we should have beat, but we didn't come to play.
And Matt, they've got another stiff test tonight as they face Detroit Redford in the Class A final. Back to you.
No question about it. Thank you, Trevor. You know, Pontiac Northern only lost 4 games all season long. And they were to 2 teams, Pontiac Central and Clarkston. Both times they beat those 2 teams en route to the championship game. Here's how they got there. Both these clubs, Redford with a bit of a surprising win over Finney. Finney has 6 guys who are 6'8" or taller. And then they disposed of Belleville. Pontiac Northern with a big win over to Southfield Lathrop, who was on a major roll after half struggling during the regular campaign, and then an exciting win over Saginaw on Friday afternoon. There's our officials for today's Class A championship tilt. Tony Payne, Todd Hope, and the Huskies. And we're going to be talking about that a lot, so that's why we want to tell you that Detroit Redford is in red. Pontiac Northern is in white. Lobbing underneath for Abram, knocked away. Cantrell, dribble drive, and off the plexi and through.
It's a nice drive to the basket that time to get Pontiac Northern on the board first.
There's Justin Simmons, the 6'1" senior, had it slapped away.
The interesting part of this game will be to see which team is able to impose its style of play, its want on the other. Pontiac Northern, as we said in the open, they want to have it high tempo. The other extreme for Redford, they want to keep it low. In order to force a high tempo, you'll see some pressure being applied, especially full court by Pontiac Northern.
Great block by the sophomore Jamal Locke. Now Harris, long range 3 off the back iron. And a rebound by that 1-2 punch for Pontiac Northern, Derek Ponder. Ponder got caught up in the air and a travel turnover against Pontiac Northern.
A moment ago you had Redford coming up with some sizable defense inside, and I think this is the best way to block a shot. Jamal Locke blocking it to himself, allowing Redford to keep control.
Harris has to hustle to get it past the timeline. Finally does with a bounce pass to Simmons. Now Moulton from the left wing. A little short.
I'm a little surprised that Redford is taking these quick shots.
Bonds tried to feed it on a bounce pass a la John Barry. A little bit too far for John Cantrell. Another turnover for Pontiac Northern, their second in a row.
Quick shots, quick misses leads to transition basketball. That hurts your desire to have a slower tempo. And twice now, Redford has brought it down, broken the press successfully, only to launch a long three without showing a whole lot of patience.
Simmons will back it up a little bit and run the offense. This is Deion Harris.
Zone defense by Pontiac Northern. This helps Redford, in my estimation.
It's a 2-3 zone. Harris. Now Simmons for three. A little short, so they're 0 for 3 from behind the three. Tapped up in the air. And Pontiac Northern with numbers. A 4-on-2. Hit to the cup. Couldn't hit it, but he'll toe the line for two. Pontiac Northern has to take good care of the basketball. Yesterday in the game against Saginaw, even though they escaped with a win, they turned it over 17 times.
Not good, but when you're a running team, you're going to have a tendency sometimes to turn it over. Here Cantrell running hard on the left wing. He's a good wing player. He'll get a chance to pick up two at the free throw line and provide his team with a 4-point lead.
Less than average free throw shooter, though, is John Cantrell. 48% from the line, 11 of 24 now after missing the first. Both teams you wouldn't think would be all that nervous, considering Pontiac Northern's trip to the Breslin Center a year ago before beating Kalamazoo Central for their first ever title. Redford is relatively young, and a foul inside.
Coach Derek McDowell right there. He was a fine point guard himself for many years. Played in the public school league, played college ball at Stetson. He can't understand how you miss out block out assignment on a free throw, giving Pontiac Northern second chance to double their lead.
You know his game because you played with him a lot in summer leagues, didn't you?
He was terrific, really smart. So it's no surprise to me that he's had a nice coaching career.
Derek McDowell, some people consider him one of the best coaches in the state. I was talking with Detroit News prep beat writer Tom Markowski before today's matchup. He said this guy is the reason they are here, the #1 reason. He was shocked that they beat Finney, considering the height advantage for Finney, but Derek McDowell makes so many good adjustments and is just a great technician. But right now his club is yet to score. 4-0 and top Pontiac Northern. Deion Harris got caught up in the air. Chris Say, the lefty for three, off the back rim. Tapped underneath, and Say tracked it down. Outlet to Harris, and they'll settle things down with the Redford Huskies.
Pontiac Northern staying in their zone defense.
Why not? Redford hasn't solved it yet. Harris. And I thought he'd turn that over. They're going to call it off Pontiac Northern.
Redford might be a little nervous. They've gotten into nothing offensively. Their continuity has not began to surface yet.
Spot up three, Vernon Carr. And if that name sounds familiar, it is the son of Vernon Carr, who went to Cody and was one of the top players in the city of Detroit while playing there, and then came here to star at Michigan State University,
where he wore number 23 like his son.
The three answer is short, and Moulton with a rebound.
See if that last bucket, the success by Vernon Carr, sort of relieves some of the tension that Redford appears to be experiencing right now, especially on the offensive end. Very fortunate to only trail by one.
Chris Say tosses it to the wing for Vernon Carr. Back to Say, who's become more of a vocal leader for this Redford basketball team and really helped them change their fortunes earlier this year. Moulton to Harris. They're looking to post up Jamal Locke inside.
Keep in mind, in high school basketball, there is no shot clock. So if you want to control the tempo, you can do it all you want, especially going against the zone. You do not have to force the action.
Wraparound foul on Antonio Bonds. That's his first. So both teams trying to find the flow that they would like to have. Antonio Bonds, the 6'1", 170-pound junior. It's Robert Rogers, the head coach of Pontiac Northern.
Matt, there are some of the rules of the high school game. 4 8-minute quarters, no shot clock. I think that's the biggest thing. 3 timeouts each of the 30-second length. And then, of course, 7 fouls, penalty, 10 fouls, the double penalty, automatic 2 free throws, and alternate possessions on the jump ball, much like college.
Well, the refs are slowing the pace down just a little bit because they're trying to agree on where the ball should be taken out. And the Pontiac Northern crowd is visibly upset. Redford will inbound. There's Vernon Carr. Now Deion Harris swings it. Moulton for 3. In and out. Rebound inside by the big fella Lester Abram. Abram up the right side. Bonds beating the pack. Off the glass and through.
Not very good transition that time by Redford. They were beating down the floor, even though they had a couple of players back. And there's your quick transition opportunity executed by Pontiac Northern.
Deion Harris flips it for Chris Say. Left open for 3. Couldn't make him pay. Rebound on the backside. Carr took it in the lane. Tough running right-hander, and he missed that as well. Abram fighting for the rebound, and he is fouled by Locke. 3:49 left to go in the opening frame. Neither team able to get on track that much, but the Huskies on the break, doubling up the Huskies of Detroit Redford. 6-3 on Fox Sports Net. Robert Rogers, the head coach of Pontiac Northern, getting his point across to the referees on who that last foul against Pontiac Northern was called against and who it should have been on.
Well, it should have been right there on the reach. Number 21, Antonio Bonds. But it appears as though the foul was given to 24, Derek Ponder. And if that's the case, wrong call.
Tough inbound play, and Bonds with a nice catch, and he'll walk it up for Pontiac Northern. He's into this ball game at 22-4. Ponder double team, tried to split it, and he walked with it. Third turnover for Pontiac Northern in this one.
Well, Ponder held the basketball too long. If you see pressure coming, you got to give the basketball up before that pressure can really get strong and make your passing avenues shrink.
Deion Harris to Chris Say. Takes it in the lane, leans in with the lefty off the back rim, and Ponder with a rebound.
And Redford getting the ball inside, but unable to cash in, sitting on that 3-point total.
Smith ran into a roadblock. Ken Pettit, who's checked into the ball game for Detroit Redford. He wears number 44 and has those goggles. At times, he has started this year, spelling the sophomore Jamal Locke.
Look at Redford. Meanwhile, Pontiac Northern just 4 shots, but 3 turnovers, so they're hurting themselves in another area.
Abrams solves that problem right there with a left-handed lean. 8-3, Pontiac Northern on top by 5. Deion Harris, a shake and bake move. Pops up for 3, missed it. Another rebound for Ponder.
And an easy defensive sequence for Northern.
Ponder, fade away. Nope. Moulton with a rebound. Kendrick Moulton outlets to Deion Harris. Those are 2 big guns right there. Carr, nice move in the lane. A nice finish, too, with a right-handed finger roll.
Vernon Carr, he has all 5 of their points, so he's the one Redford Husky that seems to have settled down while everybody else is still trying to find their stride.
Waved that basket off. Lester Abram got some contact from Ken Pettit before he could jack it up.
Earlier, Vernon Carr knocked down a 3 from the same side of the floor. This time he puts it on the floor, goes inside and challenges Northern's big people, comes away successfully.
Now Abram, he can hit that 3.
Yes, he can. Especially if you give him the wide open look. You got to know where he is and at least force him to shoot over an outstretched hand.
Shoots 41.5% from behind the big arc. That's his 22nd of the year. Absolutely. Yeah. Can't leave him alone. 11-5 now. Pontiac Northern on top. Harris handling the basketball in this finals game a lot more than he did in the semifinals. There's Carr, back to Harris. From the dotted line, tough shot. Popped out. Bonds all the way.
Maintain the quick shot and the one shot, because they're not really doing much damage on the offensive glass for Redford right now, playing right into the hands of Pontiac Northern.
Detroit Redford has this game at their pace. They're just not hitting the shots. Moulton turned it over. Now Bonds will settle it down. Pontiac Northern leading by 8. That one's a little short. Ponder, the putback. Yes!
Well, in the early going, it's Pontiac Northern that has settled down, and it's Pontiac Northern that's forcing its will on Redford, and Redford needs a timeout to discuss it.
Biggest lead of the ball game for Pontiac Northern, 15-5 with 1:22 left to go in the first quarter. Detroit Redford getting some shots, Greg Kelser, but unable to knock him down. It started with some ill-advised threes early on.
And that's the big problem. You're going to have the rebound come out, and here, already leaking down the floor. He's already ahead of the field. Going in aggressively in a transition opportunity for Bonds. And then here's the unguarded Abram. His shot is short, but hustling inside is Ponder, getting a second chance opportunity. So right now you've got Pontiac Northern doing a variety of things, settling down offensively and stretching out on Redford's Huskies.
Well, Pontiac Northern, a team that had never won a state championship until a year ago in this very building when they beat Kalamazoo Central. And the two big heroes in that game, Lester Abram, you see with a left-handed leaner, and Derek Ponder as well. Derek Ponder wearing number 24, and there's Abram again. And they rolled on to beat Kalamazoo Central for their first ever state championship. Feels so very, very good for Pontiac Northern. So good that they want another one.
Well, you got to know that the experience of having been here and having won here is huge for them today. I mean, this is not anything that they're unused to.
Trevor Thompson.
Matt, very dramatic in the Redford huddle. You'll notice that their coach has his shirt and tie off, his jacket and tie off. He undid his tie and said, "Are you guys choking? Are you guys choking?" in very dramatic fashion, and said, "This ball game is not at our tempo," and that's something you guys have talked about all day long, the tempo of this game.
Wow, Derek McDowell, very, very livid with his club in that huddle, challenging them a little bit, and they respond well out of that quick timeout. 15-7 now, Pontiac Northern on top. Under a minute to go in the first.
Hey, the stage can be overwhelming, and it looks to have affected Redford early. But there's so much time here. They can get the legs underneath themselves and get their confidence. They'll be fine.
Abram had it blocked by Deion Harris. Mr. Abram is tall at 6'6", 200 pounds, but he can break you down on the dribble. Antonio Bonds, baseline drive, top shot, rimmed off. And Kendrick Moulton, the senior, inside, using that muscle that makes him a pretty good football player to grab the rebound. 25 seconds to go, Moulton. Now Harris. Harris slicing his way in the lane. Had it knocked away. Ponder up ahead to Bonds. Bonds with a 2-on-2. Oh, what a move. Couldn't hit it off the glass. Ponder with a putback. Had it blocked from behind. Moulton grabbed the rebound. He'll hold on, and Redford will play for the final shot.
That was a beautifully timed block from behind. And tough to do without the foul.
Moulton way downtown. Hard off the glass. And that'll do it. 8 minutes of Class A state championship basketball is in the books. Pontiac Northern on the run, leading Detroit Redford 15-7. Robert Rogers has his club focused, has them running. They got some easy hoops. They boast an 8-point bulge after 8 minutes of play.
Back here at the Class A final at the Breslin Center, where Redford trails by 8 points after shooting just 20%, Matt, in that first period. And why? Because of this zone pressure, which is eliminating the paint. They're allowing Redford, Pontiac Northern's allowing Redford one tough shot, that perimeter shot, and they are unable to put it down. They have got to find some way to penetrate the zone and get a higher controlled shot, higher controlled percentage shot.
Well, Redford shot 49% In the win over Belleville, they'd like to see the numbers get up around that area. There's a lob inside and a jam.
That's one way to get inside. Go over the top. Put a little accuracy on that pass and a high lob. The best play that Redford's had in this game.
Warning card to Deion Harris for the completion. There's Bates Gay into the ball game. He wears number 15 in white.
That came out of a huddle, so Redford able to execute the play that Derek McDowell drew.
There's Ponder. Lester Abram. Abram, height advantage here. 16-footer is good.
Sweet, smooth too.
It's too tough for the 6-foot sophomore Ronnie Crawford, who wears number 4 in red, to do. Can't guard Lester Abram, who has 6 inches on him. There's a turnover for Redford.
Turnover there, but prior to that, Redford out of there. End of the quarter huddle. They're going to spread the floor, and you're going to see Harris go right there. And here's the pass over the top, on the money. And he was able to use his athleticism, get up there, catch it, and put it down.
Pretty play. 3 turnovers aside for Pontiac Northern and Detroit Redford.
Number 3.
Robert Rogers, 51 years young, says he doesn't get out there on the floor with his players as much as he used to. That's his younger staff members do that kind of work.
He still looks young. He still looks like that 23-year-old that was my math teacher when I was in high school, 10th and 11th grade. Robert Rogers and I go way back.
Lester Abram to Ponder. Ponder spinning on Moulton. Fadeaway jumper. Missed it. Redford unable to hold on to the rebound. It was right there on the meat hooks of Jamal Rock, but the sophomore couldn't hold on.
Well, the one thing that's noticeable, and that's that Redford is competing. I mean, their intensity level has picked up since they were challenged by their coach. Now they just got to settle down and get themselves back in it on this end as well as the offensive end of the floor.
Ponder with a 3-ball. His 9th triple of the year. He shoots 30% from behind the big arc. It's a 20-9 Pontiac Northern lead.
Pontiac Northern so disciplined, and they get the shots that they want.
They're daring him to take that 3 with that 2-3 zone. Crawford to Harris.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing they're giving them. They're inviting them the outside shot. That one was forced and harassed.
Bad shot and a block inside by Abram. His 39th swat of the year. He averages over 1.5.
Look at this. The errant shot, possible second opportunity by Say, but it was rejected emphatically by Abram.
And Detroit Redford got it inside as well. That time off the inbound pass. And Kendrick Moulton will toe the stripe for a pair.
24-pounder, his first, second team foul.
First one short. They keep up with the MHSAA tournaments on the web, complete statistics, live audio, and plenty of other information. And MHSAA.com. Check it out. Kendrick Moulton, who is considering going to the University of Toledo, was a tight end in football for the Detroit Redford, and was a starter on this club a year ago. Splits the pair to make it a 10-point Pontiac Northern lead. Lester Abram. Another 3-ball for Ponder, and another make! Back-to-back triples for Derek Ponder. And Pontiac Northern now has a 13-point advantage.
Well, you can't forget Ponder when you're thinking so much about Abrams. I mean, he's shown you that he can knock down that outside shot.
Harris tries to answer. Can't. Here's Ponder looking up ahead. Bonds, great dish, and Abram with the finish.
Redford is allowing itself to be lured into Pontiac Northern's trap. Quick shot, miss it, and you get beat in transition going the other way.
That's exactly how Pontiac Northern won it a year ago, and they are doing the same here today. Antonio Bates with a nice feed. Lester Abram finishes, and the Huskies are rolling. Pontiac Northern leads it later. It's the Detroit Sports Report, now expanded to cover the entire world of sports for Detroit and beyond. Later tonight, a wrap-up of all the 4 title games. Another Wings-Avs showdown. They're playing this afternoon. And who's your money goalie? Hasek, Wah, Osgood? To answer tonight's poll question, log on to foxsports.com, keyword Detroit, for the Detroit Sports Report. Now the only sports show Detroit fans will ever need, tonight at 10 on Fox Sports Net. Detroit Redford down by 15 here at the Breslin Center with 5 and change to go in the first half of play. Pontiac Northern standing and clapping for good reason.
Redford has to make a move now to get this game back in gear. You fall behind by much more, then you're going to have to come out of your element to come back. That means you're going to have to play up-tempo, and nobody can play up-tempo as good as Pontiac Northern.
Redford has to find a way to beat that 2-3 zone. A reach-in foul on Derek Ponder. Derek Ponder is a guy, Greg, last Tuesday actually had to wear a heart monitor to school. Took a stress test at a local clinic and almost didn't make that Southfield Lathrop game. Now Harris against Bates Gay.
And then you tell me he came and had a great game that night.
20 points against Southfield Lathrop in that game. Pretty move by Deion Harris.
So they gotta have more of that.
That's how you beat the 2-3 zone, isn't it?
Yeah, and he did it with a control, slashing type dribble.
Now Bonds, quickly. Good feed to Ponder. Great catch and a better finish from the dotted line.
Man, Ponder is playing really big. He's 6'4", but he is a load inside. He's hurting them from the outside. So the 1-2 punch of Ponder and Lester Abram, along with others, really making it tough for Redford.
Ponder 10 points and 6 boards already in this one. We haven't even played a half a basketball. Deion Harris, Kendrick Moten. Back to Harris. Harris with a dribble drive. Forced it high off the glass and an offensive foul. Second personal foul on Deion Harris. And Redford will apply pressure.
16 foul, forward control foul.
Ponder needs to hurry. Launches to Bates Gay. Couldn't hold on to it. And Moten with the thank you very much. To the wing. Crawford, the sophomore for 3. Yes!
I guess if you're Redford, one thing you can feel somewhat encouraged by is the fact that you're getting outside shots, and a lot of them are open. If you can just start putting some down, maybe you can get yourself back into it with that as well.
Pontiac Northern needs to hold on to the basketball. Lester Abram with a cough up there, their 4th turnover of the first half. That's too easy.
Oh. They went through Pontiac Northern's full court pressure that time like it was full of holes and got themselves an easy basket. And they're back in the game, down 10, but you know, they was threatening to really blow this thing open only a few moments ago.
Ponder, pull up from 16, off the rim. And I think Antonio Bonds climbed over the back of Jamal Locke.
A moment ago with the Redford attacking Northern pressure. Look at Ponder. He's just going to more or less get out of the way. And the only thing I can think is maybe he didn't want to get the foul, but he gave up an easy basket there, didn't challenge it.
Carr for 3, second of the game.
Redford's making a run, and they're doing it off the defense. A lot of what they're doing right now is being keyed by solid defense, and that's the way they have had success this year.
Both clubs picking up the shooting here in the second quarter after Redford really struggled in the first frame.
Boy, Redford was down 15. They cut it in half very quickly. Again, it's being keyed by their defense, and again, being able to knock down wide open three-point shots, which they've had in this game, and they're getting them, or at least the last 2, against Northern's pressure. And pressure, once you break the initial surge, you're going to have some openings. It's then just a matter of whether you can knock down the shot.
Bates Gay hoping to knock down a couple of free throws. He was 2 for 2 in the win yesterday over Saginaw and is a 73% free throw shooter. A big reason why Pontiac Northern, has been so successful this year is the fact they have guys who are willing to accept their roles. Bates Gay, a perfect example. A junior who was the 3rd leading scorer last year as a starter, now comes off the bench.
Well, coming off the bench is important, especially if you get your minutes. Depth is what makes a lot of teams very strong and allow you to get to the 27th game of the season, as is the case for both of these clubs.
Rick Carlisle can vouch for that.
Oh,
Kendrick Moten thought about the 3. Now Chris Shea with under 3 minutes to go in the first half. Vernon Carr, who's been huge, had just 2 points yesterday, has a couple of triples in this one. Harris to Shea, back to Deion Harris.
Zone pressure. And if you can get penetration, you want a smart decision when you get inside. Number 33 right there with the basketball, Harris. He can get that penetration for you, finish, or kick it out for an open shot. I like the patience they're showing right now.
Moulton, straight up, got it.
Ah, yeah.
Kendrick Moulton, who was 2 for 4 from behind the big arc and wrote to 13 points in 28 minutes yesterday in the win over Belleville. Now he's got to check Ponder, dishes out, baits for 3. No! Couldn't hit it. Rebound inside. Deion Harris, 29-23. Pontiac Northern on top. Redford wants to run. Moulton takes it. Couldn't hit the right-handed shot. Good decision. He just came up a little short. Redford on an 11-2 run. Ponder with a reverse layup. Quiets the Redford crowd.
Ponder demonstrated strength as well as hang time that time to get the shot off.
31-23. Dribbling by Deion Harris. Outstanding. Now leans in. Yes!
Now you're starting to see why he's been their best player, the junior, Deion Harris. Really starting to step it up.
He has half a dozen. 31-25. Got ourselves a good ball game now. Under a buck and a half to go in the half. Ponder trying to break down the D. Nearly had it swiped. Say poked it away. And it's chased down by John Cantrell. Antonio Bates will run the Pontiac Northern offense. You got to keep going to Ponder, don't you, until they can stop him. That time they got it in his face enough to alter the shot.
Well, he's got to try and take good shots. No need to force it. When they were on their way to their 15-point lead, they weren't forcing a lot of shots. They were spreading the ball and getting wide open looks.
Ronnie Cranford, now Harris, slicing his way. Couldn't fill it up, and a rebound, Lester Abram.
Even with that miss, Redford's having a whole lot more success offensively by getting the ball inside and then making the decision from there against the zone. You got that turnover by Northern, and they've come a little unglued here.
I think Robert Rogers is probably a little upset that his club is rushing so much, even though they have the lead, and they're not taking very good care of the basketball, are they?
At all.
So just under 39 seconds to go. We talked about the keys to victory here for both these clubs. No question that Derek McDowell wanted to control the flow of this game. It got away from him early, but he told us earlier that will be his first priority in this one.
We got to control the tempo. You know, we can't let it be up and down and a free fall. We have to control the tempo. If for some reason we can't control the tempo, then I think we're going to have a little bit of problem with it. But tempo is the key.
Well, it was the key in the first quarter. That's why his team trailed big, and then defense really got him back into this, and that's why they're within 6.
Let's take a look at some of the Redford Husky defense here. Up on the ball handler, just in the face, making it tough to get the ball up the floor. They're challenging now. And when you do that, it gives a whole different look, whereas at one time things were cruising for Northern. Now it's not so, and they become a little rattled.
A lot of that has to do with Derek McDowell's mindset. Trevor Thompson talked about during the first quarter. He took his tie off, he took his sport coat off, got in his kids' faces and challenged them, and they have responded well in this ball game, haven't they?
Well, it's a coach's responsibility to not let his guys be happy just to be here. I mean, you get here, this is a rare opportunity. You got to give your best effort. And they are doing that in the second quarter. Look at that, 7 points, horrible shooting in the first quarter, much better job in the second.
They've really settled down, and it will appear as though they will settle for the final shot here. Chris Say running things for Redford, trailing by 6. Trailed by as many as 13 in this first half. Make it 15, Greg Kelser. 15 points they were down. Wow. Cranford to Moulton. Got to get out of that corner, young man. To Harris. Harris, tough shot. Oh, he made it!
He shot that, though. He was looking at Coach Rogers of Northern. He was not squared up in the least.
Deion Harris with 8 points in the first half. This one as pretty as any you have seen so far.
Watch where he is when he shoots the basketball. He's facing almost away from the basket, and it was his play down the stretch, I think, that really settled his team and allowed them to get back into it where they trail by 4 points now.
Redford shot just 20% in the first quarter. But this helps to bump that kind of field goal average up, doesn't it? And the percentage. And now Trevor Thompson. Trevor?
Thank you very much, Matt. Coach, you had as much as a 15-point lead. It's now down to 4. What was the difference in momentum? How did things change?
Well, we knew that this is a very good team, very talented team. Games that are about spurts and runs. We had our run. We jumped out. They had their run. But I'm very thankful and grateful that we're able to withstand their storm. And going into halftime, we do have something positive to feel about, that we have a 4-point lead. It could have been worse, but we'll take the 4-point lead.
What kind of adjustments do you hope to make?
Well, you know, we got a guy that's a little hurt right now, and we hope to get him some medical attention. But all we got to do is just run our offense. This team here that we're playing against, Detroit Redford, they're very well coached, they're very physical, they're very disciplined. So we're going to have to just play a great game of basketball and be obedient to our defense and just run our offense. And good things will happen.
Good luck in the second half, Coach. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank
Matt,
you very much.
back to you.
Trevor, thank you. Robert Rogers saw his team jump out to a big lead in the first quarter. They were up by as many as 15, and they were leading the way, but Derek McDowell had an answer. He challenged his ball club, and they have responded. 31-27, Pontiac Northern on top of Detroit Redford at the break at the Breslin Center, and only here on Fox Sports Network. After 16 minutes of play, Pontiac Northern on top by 4. Trevor Thompson has a special guest. Trev?
Hey, Matt, thank you very much. Standing next to me is John Fundukian, and he has just received the Charles E. Forsyth Award. It's in his 25th year. It's an award given out to individuals for their outstanding dedication and commitment to interscholastic athletics within the community. How's this feel for you, John?
I'm very excited about it, and it's kind of unbelievable that the 31 year or 37 years goes by pretty quickly, and it's just a great joy. Very honored.
Now, you served 37 years, as you say, in Novi and around helping out with athletics. What are you most proud of over that time?
Obviously, I think the opportunity to work with student athletes, be connected with educational athletics where life lessons are learned, and you have an opportunity to help coaches with good kids. I think that's been a lot of fun.
You were a teacher, a coach, an administrator. Which of those roles did you like best?
It's hard to beat coaching because you're directly connected with kids, but I think it's also important to make sure that there's a global approach to healthy athletics. And I'm very, very pleased with the leadership of the High School Athletic Association in that regard.
Well, congratulations. Be proud of the award. We're proud for you. Thank you very much for stopping by. Matt, we'll go back to you.
Trevor, thank you. So inspirational in the development of young men's lives. And how has this game developed in the first half, Greg Kelser? Anything jump out at you?
Well, when you look at the fact that Redford has shot 39% from the floor, they have to be fortunate to be down by 4. I talked about the discipline that Pontiac Northern showed. Well, just 3 of 6, only 6 3-point opportunities. They've gotten the ball inside enough to shoot 50%. So they need to continue that. The rebounding fairly even. Free throw shooting not that significant. And the other areas about the same. Both teams doing a pretty good job of taking care of the basketball. 5 and 6 turnovers in a half. You can live with that.
Well, Derek McDowell's done a great job getting his team back into the ballgame. How did he do it? For that and more, busy Trevor Thompson joins us again. Trev?
Thanks a lot, Matt. Coach McDowell, they're asking over there how you did such a great job of getting your boys back in this game.
Well, first of all, we lost our poise coming out. We didn't attack the basket. We started coming out shooting jump shots. We didn't even attempt to get the ball close to the basket. So what we wanted to do is take good shots and somehow get our defense set. Once we get our defense set, then we usually play off of that. That first quarter, we never did that. So the second quarter, we started to get our defensive sets in, and we started to get some momentum, and we started to get some easy baskets. So hopefully we can feed off the second quarter and continue that this third quarter.
I was listening in on your huddle, and you told you guys you thought they were choking. You said that they weren't trusting each other. Were you happy with the way they responded to that when you challenged them?
No, I did. I think we started trusting each other. We started going to the basket. We started making the next pass. We started getting to the help side. We started rebounding. I think the trust was there the second quarter. So, again, hopefully we just got to come back with that same trust.
Good luck in the second half. Thanks for stopping by. Matt, back to you.
Trevor, thank you. Pontiac Northern has outscored Derek McDowell's Detroit Redford team 16-12 in the point. That 4-point difference is the difference in the ball game so far in the first half. As the band plays on, the game will continue when we return after this. The defending Class A state champions lead at the break by 4. Pontiac Northern over Detroit Redford. Anytime you play in a big game, Greg Kelser, you know your big guns have to step forward, and that's what's happened with the Pontiac Northern Huskies. Derek Ponder and Lester Abram have been huge.
They're the ones that were publicized. They're the ones that Redford knew they would have to handle, and for a while it looked like they were going to put this game away early, but give Redford credit. Behind their guy, Deion Harris, they were able to get back into it. There's what Abram and Ponder were able to do in that first half. Collectively, 17 shots, both shooting a nice percentage, and 21 points between them.
They also have 12 of their team's 17 rebounds. Combined last year in the championship game, 37 points between those two. They might take similar performances here against Detroit Redford. Pontiac Northern opens with the basketball, dressed in white and the red trim. This is Lester Abram. Abram, the senior, fires from 16. Yes!
That time he had a 6-foot Ronnie Cranford on him. No way he was going to be able to stay with them. Smartly just elevating over the top of him for a smooth jump shot.
Cranford then fouled as he took it to the hole. Cranford starting this second half in favor of Justin Simmons.
Northern foul 32, Abram, his second.
Lester Abram picks up his second personal foul, and Kendrick Moulton will trigger the inbound pass for Detroit Redford with Derek Ponder in his face. Lofts it for Cranford. No problem there.
Northern's going to stay in its zone. It'll be interesting to see if Redford can stay with what was working against that zone in the second quarter, make that carry over into this third quarter, as Derek McDowell said he wanted to have happen.
Ronnie Cranford looking to feed it inside. Redford needs to be patient. Coach McDowell talked about that with Trevor Thompson moments ago. Now to Locke. Spinning, nearly turned it over. It's loose on the floor. Locke got it right back, rushed the shot, and will track down the long rebound. Brennan Carr, Deion Harris, Kendrick Moulton. Drives baseline and step on that baseline to turn it over.
See, again, right now, Redford's in a position where they really can get what they want. Just take your time. Don't try to force anything. Move the basketball. There is no shot clock in this high school basketball final, so there's no need to hurry. Plus, you got a team playing a zone. You can stand and look and go when you're ready to go.
Antonio Bates backing his way in. Bullet pass inside Smith. Lefty good off the glass. And James Smith, he is limping just a little bit to get back on the defensive end. He sprained his ankle in yesterday's win against Saginaw. He is the injured Husky that Robert Rogers was referring to before the half. Brennan Carr's three ball is off the rim. Rebound inside, batted around, chased down by Bates. Great save. And then Derek Ponder lost control of it.
Here, a sensational pass. Bullet variety. I mean, some sauce on that baby from Bonds, and even better hands by Smith to corral it and then put it in off the window.
35-27. Pontiac Northern on top. Ronnie Cranford can handle the basketball, just a sophomore, to the junior Deion Harris. Back to Cranford. Good feed inside to Locke, spinning, low blocks, and fouled by Lester Abram. They're going at Abram.
Right there, you're going to have Locke posting up on Abram. They keep the ball on this side. There's like a little triangle action right there. And that's nicely done. Attacking inside, making their best offensive player play defense, and then drawing the foul on him.
Couldn't really find that type of chemistry in the first half as the sophomore knocks down the first free throw. Was 1 for 2 from the stripe yesterday against Belleville. Started as a freshman last year and has started pretty much throughout this season, although prior to the semis, he was coming off the bench for 5 straight games. Makes them both, and those are 2 big free throws. 35-29 now. Pontiac Northern on top. Bates, with the pressure sagging off him, will walk it past the timeline.
Matt, that last foul on Abram was his 3rd. Remember the phantom foul? We couldn't figure out who it was against in the first half. They gave that to Abram, and that's why he has 3 where he should have had 2, and that's why Robert Rogers was arguing so vehemently.
James Smith, who's coming off back-to-back 10-point games. There's a steal by Abram. Showtime.
Abram on the anticipation, carelessness by Redford, and they were made to pay.
Double-digit lead now for the defending champions. Cranford to Carr. Carr, good drive, lowered the shoulder, and a blocking foul inside against James Smith.
Perhaps Redford getting a little too comfortable. Easy pass picked off that time by Abram. An uncontested dunk, a 10-point lead. And yes, it is a game of spurts, as Robert Rogers alluded to at halftime. But if you're Redford, you've already come back from one 15-point deficit. Might I suggest you don't make a habit of that? I'm going to get back in this game right now.
You only have so much in the tank, and oftentimes it's difficult not only to come back, but then to overtake the opponent and keep that momentum going, isn't it?
Right.
Vernon Carr's first free throw rims off. Hey, a reminder that coming up later, it's the Class B final between Grand Rapids South Christian and Auburn Hills Avondale. Our live coverage begins at 8 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Net. Hope you can join Greg Kelser and me, along with Trevor Thompson, for all the action. Redford comes up empty on that trip, and then there's a steal by Cranford. Tough layup. Wow. Pretty move by the sophomore to make it 39-31.
Adam Tones for the turnover a moment ago that resulted in a Pontiac Northern dunk. Redford back to within 8 points. Back on the defensive end now.
Bates between the rings. James Smith, not known as a scorer. To the wing. And Trell with a shot. They made it from three-point range.
Smith, maybe not known as a scorer, but an excellent disher right there. He served that up beautifully for Cantrell.
Deion Harris. Now Moten. Kendrick Moten forced it up. A little long and a foul inside. And to go against Detroit Redford.
Is that on Moten?
Might be on Jamal Locke. Jamal Locke's fourth personal foul.
They would have rather it have been on Moten.
Yes, they would. The 6'7" sophomore is learning a thing or two about state championship basketball in this tournament.
They're going to have to get him out of there. A lot of time to go. But they really could ill afford to have his size and height out of the game. He's got to be careful right now, not picking up the fifth.
Ponder for three. He has 3 triples in the ball game. He has been huge.
And that one was really deep, really deep.
Had 16 points in the win yesterday over Saginaw. Had 20 points in the quarterfinal win over Southfield Lathrop. 45-31. Pontiac Northern now on top by 14. Remember, their biggest lead came in the first half. It was a 15-point margin. Harris couldn't split the D. Forced it up. Got the putback. Deion Harris wouldn't give up on that shot. The first one was kind of ugly, but the follow-up was good. He needed that answer. Why? Because Derek Ponder continues to shoot a hot hand. Another triple, and it's 45-33. Pontiac Northern in control. Pontiac Northern defending their title very well. They're up by 12, and a lot of it has to do with senior leadership from Lester Abram, doesn't it, Greg Kelser?
I'm really impressed with the way he has been so cool and under control. His poise very obvious, helping his team. He's gotten the ball inside. We mentioned the fact he is left-handed. Sometimes that's tough for a defense to adjust to. He scored in transition. Again here, putting it on the floor, driving the lane, shooting over a shorter defender. And then the defense, the steal, and the lone finish. He has been all of that.
11 points and 6 rebounds for the future Wolverine. Redford continues to pressure the inbound. Bates and the Huskies will calmly set up their offense. Alley-oop inside. Abram had it swatted away. Smith tracked it down and got it to Derek Ponder. Good defense by Redford, but they got nothing to show for it. Ponder for Smith. Fronts Moten, fires, and fills it.
See, this is the discipline that you've been seeing in Northern's attack the entire game. They are not forcing wild shots. They are not hurrying. They're not settling for a bunch of threes. And that is helping them withstand, you know, the charge that Redford came with.
Helps that James Smith has added some offense to his usual defensive game. Harris in the lane. Tough shot. Rimmed off, and a great rebound by Abram, his 7th of the ball game.
You've said tough shot many times in describing Redford's offense. I can't really recall you saying that too often with regards to Pontiac Northern, the difference in this game.
Yeah, they've had some good looks, you're right. Abram will inbound for Pontiac Northern with 2:21 left to go in the third quarter. Detroit Redford had sliced into this Pontiac Northern lead and gotten pretty close. A 2-possession game at one point it was, until Pontiac Northern was able to go on this third quarter spurt. Ponder, then the man to key it. Oh my! That was pretty. He has 17 in the ball game.
A lot of balance to their attack. Penetration, transition, and outside shooting.
I've had some guys make some tough shots. Chris Say fires from the corner for 3. Rimmed off. Abram with his 8th rebound, had it knocked away. Put back by Harris is good. Harris trying to keep him in it. He has a dozen. Bates streaking back by the pack of Huskies to lay it up and in.
That's what you have to give up, or at least risk sometimes when you're coming with full court pressure. You're trailing.
Say with a good look from Harris, had it blocked by Abram.
He came from nowhere.
Pontiac Northern getting it done from different guys. Ponder, Bonds, you name it.
There's the move inside, the penetration, tough shot there, but able to get it off the window anyway because of his strength, Derek Ponder.
Ponder with a rebound. To Bonds. Bonds takes a look, takes it all the way to the rack.
See, this game is too fast right now for Redford. They have got to figure out a way to slow it back down. You do that with defense. You do that with patience offensively.
Moulton's teardrop doesn't fall.
You certainly don't do it with that.
No, you don't. Abram wisely backs it off. An 18-point lead for he and his Huskies. Hop step, tough shot, rimmed off. Smith battling for it on one bad ankle. And it's knocked out of bounds off Pontiac Northern. Under a minute to go here in the third. James Smith has been huge in this ball game. There's some clutch shots here in this third quarter, despite the one bad wheel. Cranford with a great move inside on the left-handed layup.
He wanted to foul there. Seemed to be a little contact there.
Bonds up ahead and knocked out of bounds off Say. Derek McDowell wants to slow things up. I don't know if he has enough time to do that. Under 30 seconds to go in the third, trailing 53-37. Derek Ponder with a double-double in this state championship matchup. 17 points, 10 caroms. Not a bad line.
Well, he had the big double-double yesterday, you know, in the Final Four, you may say. 16 points and a big 15 rebounds against Saginaw. And you saw what he did he knows how to handle clutch situations. That was last year.
Well, just a rebound shy of a double-double in the win over Kalamazoo Central last year for Pontiac Northern. Antonio Bonds against the sophomore Chris Cranford. Or Ronnie Cranford, excuse me. Bonds can handle the basketball.
So can this guy.
Yeah. This guy's 6'6", Lester Abram. Almost like they're isolating him one-on-one against Harris. Takes it in the lane and drew some contact. No shot with 5.4 seconds left to go in the third.
Foul, 23 Harris, his second team foul.
Dion Harris with the slap foul, his second. Darius Tate is into the ballgame for Detroit Redford. He wears number 5 in red. Harris against Lester Abram. There is Darius Tate guarding James Smith, and on the inbound, knocked out of bounds, and it was off Lester Abram. Redford with a chance to feel good after 3 with a possible final shot here.
Gotta hurry.
Ronnie Cranford takes a glance at the clock. To Say at the horn, off the rim. A big third quarter for the defending champions. Lester Abram, Keaton, and Pontiac Northern is now just 8 minutes away from boasting back-to-back titles. Lester Abram, Derek Ponder have led the way, both in double digits, and they lead 53-37 after 3. Huge third quarter for Pontiac Northern. That's why they're on top. You know, the end of the regular season didn't go that well for Robert Rogers, but when the playoffs came around, they got things on the same page and got that winning feeling back.
Once the tournament started, you know, we said it's a brand new season. We lost 4 games earlier, but let's tighten up. Let's remember the feeling that we had when we came here last year. Let's also remember the memories that we had 3 years ago when we came here. We lost 3 years ago. It was sad. Last year was a happy occasion, and this year we want to return back to the way it was last year.
Well, they are well on their way, and that third quarter really helped them. Greg, they shot 91% in the third quarter, 10 for 11, while limiting Detroit Redford to just 28.5% field goal shooting. Cranford for 3. Yes!
Well, that's a good start on a humongous mountain that you've got to climb if you're Redford.
Well, that mountain is steep, isn't it?
Especially since you're going against a team that has been as disciplined offensively and as patient as Pontiac has been.
That's a good point. Lester Abram shows you what he can do, bringing the basketball up against some mild pressure. Antonio Bonds out of Smith, lobbing inside and knocked out of bounds. Trevor Thompson.
Matt, Coach McDowell told his boys they came back from 15 already once in this game. The only reason they'll be out of it is if they don't believe they're in it. Look for them to take a lot more three-point shots and gamble a lot more down the stretch. Back to you guys.
Trevor, thank you.
Well, if they're going to get it done, they're going to get it done down on this end. It'll have to come off of this end, and there's a turnover. That type of defense harassing Pontiac Northern can perhaps get them back in it.
Cranford again, and again, he fills it up.
Here they come, I guess, huh? Down 10. They were down 18.
Lonnie Cranford had just 5 points yesterday in 18 minutes. He now has 13 in this one. Ponder had it stripped. Darius Tate.
Third straight turnover.
Cranford, same spot. A little short. Long rebound. Ponder tracked it down. Shovel pass to Bonds, right back to Ponder. Couldn't finish it off, though, and Locke with a rebound.
Redford's going to have something to say, I believe, about this fourth quarter. They're not going to just give it to Pontiac Northern. They put themselves back in a position now to...
Harris slicing his way and off the small square.
See, it's not as desperate now as it once was at the beginning of the quarter. They've worked themselves right back into a situation now where they can play poised, under control, keep your defense up, not turned up where it is.
A 10-0 run now for Detroit Redford to pull within 8.
But you don't have to come down if you're Redford now thinking that everything has to be a 3. You've given yourselves the luxury of that now.
Bonds shoveled it off. Bates-Gay couldn't finish. Smith popped it up in the air, and it comes down into the lap of Deion Harris. Harris trying to settle things down for Detroit Redford.
They are looking to pull this thing to within 6 or 5. Who would have thought that not more than 10 minutes ago?
Not me. Chris Say. People have counted him out all year long, though. Detroit Redford has responded.
See, this is the patience that they've bought themselves that they can use now. No hurry, plenty of time. Get what you want.
Harris thought about it for a moment. Now he's double teamed. Cranford behind the line, off the rim. That would have been big.
This is the best stretch of offense, though, they've had in a long time, even with that miss.
Ponder breaking him down, drawing a double team, and a foul inside.
Off of their defense, you're going to see the 2 threes that gave Redford the luxury that they have right now, and that's the ability to take their time. There was another 3. Those 2 really helped get things back under control. And then the easy bucket, and that was an 8-point surge by Redford.
Deion Harris made it look easy, and the sophomore has really made it look easy too. Ronnie Cranford, a big reason Redford is on this 10-0 run over just a little under 4 minutes.
And this is the guy you want with the basketball when you feel like you need to have a basket. You trust his decision, get inside, make something for himself, or create for a teammate.
He's fouled by Deion Harris at the top. The 4th on Deion Harris, so he has to be careful now.
Yeah, if they lose Harris, they really don't have much over on that bench that could come in and keep it at that same level of things that he can provide for you.
Right, not the athletic ability, his ability to put it on the floor and slash his way through, much like Bonds just did. Pretty finger roll.
And the lane opened up like the Red Sea. Bonds was able to get all the way to the basket, and somebody just got teed up.
They are calling a technical foul on Chris Say.
Say is number 4, or excuse me, number 3, right there in front of the official.
They always get the guy who tries to answer after first being instigated, don't they?
There was really no instigation or nothing to answer there. Just, you know, guys accidentally bumping as one was trying to get back on D. But you got a little frustration, obviously, that's there for Redford. That hurts, though.
Chris Say, a senior, and Derek McDowell expects more out of his senior leadership than that.
Let me tell you why it hurts. They got a basket, they got a free throw, and now to get the ball.
Possibility of a 6-point play, don't they?
That's why you gotta keep control of yourself.
Lester Abrams showing his ability and patience. He and Derek Ponder have been this 1-2 knockout punch all season long for Pontiac Northern. Ponder with a drive, had it knocked away. Loose ball, chased down by Simmons. And he's fouled in the backcourt by Bates Gay. That's the first on Bates Gay, who had 12 points in 21 minutes yesterday in the win over Saginaw. And now Pontiac Northern will apply full court pressure with a shade over 4 minutes to go in this final quarter. James Smith back into the ball game for Pontiac Northern. Derek Ponder having his right knee attended to. Simmons up ahead to Carr. Vernon Carr tried to feed the corner, had it knocked away by Abram. Abram does so many little things. Took it at 2 defenders and drew some contact. Well, they will like him at Chrysler Arena, won't they?
I think so, because he brings a whole lot of a variety of good things that you need offensively as Ponder gets the knee looked at over there.
Abrams shooting 2. Good sports programs need good officials. Stay connected to interscholastic competition by becoming an MHSAA contest official. Contact your local school athletic administrator, the MHSAA office in East Lansing, or you can visit the web at MHSAA.com.
You know, when I talk about a variety of good things that Abram will take to college with him, I'm not just talking about his scoring, the things that he'll help his teammates achieve.
And he achieves in the community as well. Right now, he's helped Pontiac Northern achieve a 14-point lead with just under 4 minutes to go. 59-45, Pontiac Northern on top. Later, it's the Detroit Sports Report, now expanded to cover the entire world of sports from Detroit and beyond. Later on tonight, a wrap-up of all 4 title games here at the Breslin Center. Another Wings-Avs showdown from this afternoon. And our poll question for you tonight, who's your big-time money goalie in the NHL? Hasek, Wah, Habibulin? To answer tonight's poll question, log on to foxsports.com. Keyword Detroit, the Detroit Sports Report. Now the only sports show Detroit fans will ever need, tonight at 10 on Fox Sports Net. Trevor Thompson, news on Derek Ponder.
Yeah, Matt, I spoke to him, and he's told me that his knee just gave out on him. He's in pain, but he told me he wants to get back out and give it a try. He's pleading with the coaches now. It looks like it'll be a coach's decision whether or not he gets back in. Back to you.
All right, Trevor, thank you. Well, Robert Rogers has made the decision, at least for the time being, that he will sit close by.
Yeah, with a 14-point lead, you don't feel as pressed to get him back in there, but you know that Ponder wants to finish the championship game out with his teammates on the floor, if at all possible. I understand that.
Vernon Carr. Off the glass, no. The putback, that one is short, and a foul inside. Jamal Locke had 2 tries at it. He was fouled from behind. It could be against Lester Abram.
Foul 32, Abram.
And it is.
You know, Ponder provides a lot of rebounding. He has double-digit rebounds in this game, so with him on the bench hurt, that 327 can't go by fast enough for Robert Rogers, and Redford has the opportunity to get some second-chance opportunities.
Locke's first free throw is good.
If it gets down under 10, I think you'll see Ponder back out on the floor.
Doesn't surprise me at all. They split the pair. That doesn't help. When you have the clock stopped, you want to take advantage of your scoring opportunities. Ponder did try to come in during that stoppage of play for a moment. The coach has told him to sit right back down. Locke with a swipe inside. John Cantrell, who is spelling Derek Ponder now, lost control of it. Good dish. Crow inside, and a nice play by Vernon Carr.
Ponder has convinced Robert Rogers he's going to check in next whistle.
And a foul right in front of Derek Ponder.
Redford foul number 4. Redford, his second.
Ronnie Cranford picks up his second personal foul. And now Derek Ponder is back into the ball game for Pontiac Northern. Talk about senior leadership with him and a guy like Lester Abram. It is not just talk. They walk the walk. They are in the community working with kids in the Pontiac PAL program and doing everything they can to be positive role models. Antonio Bonds, who had a career best 16 points in the win over Saginaw yesterday, misses the first free throw. Back comes Detroit Redford, needing points in bunches, down by 11. Harris inside, Carr with a finish. And Lester Abram is down on the floor in the painted area, holding his lip. Might have taken an elbow or an errant hand to the face.
And for Redford, 32.
Here's the activity inside, and he got what looked to be an elbow right in the face area. Is he cut?
I believe he is.
Man, a moment ago, Ponder's knee gives out on him, and now Abrams has to leave the game for a little while. Meanwhile, Redford still trying to surge.
And as you mentioned earlier, this 2 minutes and 36 seconds can't go by fast enough for Robert Rogers and Pontiac Northern, because Redford is now on a 5-0 run, and look at how important this guy has been to this program.
He's been consistent. The rebounding, the scoring, helping his teammates be better out on the floor.
Abram third in the Mr. Basketball Award. Number 2, Anthony Roberson, is the Saginaw club that was knocked off yesterday by Lester Abram and company. So with 2:36 seconds, 2 minutes and 36 seconds left to go in this second half, Lester Abram, we talked about what he means not only to the school, but to the community. And Robert Rogers talked about that and how important he is.
He's taking honors, pre-Cal, Cal. He's taking AP English. He's often in the library by himself at night. The librarian has to kick him out. So he does that. But also, you know, he'll work in summer camps with the little kids. On Saturdays, he goes out now and he volunteers his time to the PAL League. He's just been a whole lot to us. He hasn't caused any problems in the school, not one referral, not one discipline situation. So we look at that as our kids getting into what we call 4 ships: scholarship, leadership, sportsmanship, and then citizenship.
What a positive role model he is for the younger players on this team, the youngsters in the Pontiac community. Lester Abram, not only does he enjoy playing basketball with this team under Robert Rogers, but he enjoys hanging out with these guys. I mean, these guys are friends off the court. And sometimes you don't always find that, do you?
Well, it's great when you have it. That's one of the things I think that makes high school and then usually college so much different than the professional level. Professional level guys got families, they got other responsibilities. When you leave the court, that's it. In high school, you can hang and have fun.
Well, these guys have hung in there and helped Pontiac Northern possibly to their second straight state championship. That's why Derek Ponder and Lester Abram are our co-players of the game. Brought to you by Michivan, both with 17 points in the ballgame.
Well, we talked about a third quarter where Pontiac shot 90% from the floor. Well, it was because they were getting balanced attack inside, outside from guys like Ponder, Lester Abram. And as we mention their name often, we also have to credit guys like Cantrell, who played really well, and Smith, who's playing hurt.
And Bates Gay was able to beat the break and finish with a right-handed layup.
And Antonio Bonds, who has had a huge impact on this game.
Handling the basketball, but he just picked up a personal foul trying to guard Ronnie Cranford. Cranford has played exceptionally well for Detroit Redford, and the future for Derek McDowell and Detroit Redford basketball appears to be in pretty good shape, knowing that the sophomore, number 4, Ronnie Cranford, has been everything that Antonio Bonds could handle and more in this championship game. Cranford has played the entire second half. Works around a screen, now has to back up a little bit. Simmons.
They don't have a lot of time.
No, they don't.
Can't be patient now. You got to go to it.
Cranford hops, lays it off inside. Passmore couldn't get the shot away, but is fouled in the process. That's Samuel Passmore, the 6'5" senior, who only played a minute of action yesterday in the win over Belleville. Derek McDowell knows that with under 2 minutes to go and his team down by 11, a lot of things would have to go his way to climb back into this one now, wouldn't it?
Well, they can start going right by having Passmore drop 2 free throws. That'll make it a 3-possession game. Now he only can hope for 1. They've got to come with pressure and hope that they can get some steals.
James Smith, bad ankle and all, gimps his way to the Pontiac Northern bench. Lester Abram is in. Passmore's second of 2 free throws. He splits the pair. Vernon Carr checks into the Redford lineup. They need someone to leave. Finally, Samuel Passmore takes a seat behind Derek McDowell. And Redford applying full court pressure as one would expect. Derek Ponder, 17 points, has a double-double.
He's done everything.
Sure has. And the foul against Jamal Locke is 5th. And he is done for the night. The number of fouls matches the number of points for the sophomore. But you look at sophomores like Ronnie Cranford and Jamal Locke, and I would think Derek McDowell couldn't wait for the 2002-2003 campaign to get going. Derek Ponder has paid his dues with Pontiac Northern and is at the free throw line now. The whistle was blowing. I don't know why they were blowing the whistle while Derek Ponder was getting ready to shoot the free throw. There's Jamal Locke. Ponder, good wide receiver in football, led his team in touchdowns and receiving yards, was an all-league selection in that sport. Missed it. Rebound tapped out of bounds, right along press row and in favor of Pontiac Northern. 1:50 left to go here in the championship game to crown a Class A champion. Lester Abram and company won it a year ago over Kalamazoo Central. They're closing in on their second straight title. Ponder and Abram, best of friends. Now Bonds had it knocked away. Simmons with a 3-on-2. He had it bothered by Bonds. Harris. Deion Harris, baseline, drops it back for Cranford, sliced his way in the lane. Oh, what a scoop move by the sophomore. Has displayed a number of different shots in his arsenal. Now with 15, a huge game for Ronnie Cranford on the state championship stage.
Pressure being applied by Redford. They need it. They get the tip. It leads to this. Cranford thought about the three, then took it inside and had to really get creative to get that shot off under the arm of a defending Abram. Here you see he puts it on the floor. Once he gets inside, this is going to be crushed if he doesn't go underneath the arm. The other thing, it allowed Redford to be able to get a timeout, stop the clock, down 8.
Cranford, a good volleyball player as well. Hey, let's take a look at our Gardner White play of the game. It came for Detroit Redford and a beautiful alley-oop setup to Deion Harris. That is our play of the game, brought to you by Gardner White. Another look at it. Carr to Harris.
Perfect pass.
Looks like Johnson to Kelser. The old days. Antonio Bonds up ahead. Ponder takes it all the way in. Right-handed leaner doesn't drop for him.
That helps Redford because he didn't have to do that.
Cranford drew contact and finished.
Oh, it's a continuation. Some serious continuation.
Wow, Ronnie Cranford is playing the game of his life.
Undaunted. He comes down, goes right at the defender, gets the contact, keeps his concentration off the window, and a chance now to make this a 5-point game. How about that?
Great concentration by Ronnie Cranford, who also plays volleyball at Detroit Redford. Work on his hand-eye coordination, his leaping ability. With 17 in the game to lead Redford in scoring. Give him 18.
And now more pressure. This game is not over.
No, it's not. A 5-point Pontiac Northern lead. And another turnover. Simmons to Harris. All the way to the glass, and it's a 3-point lead now. Holy cow. Under a minute to go. Just when you think Redford is dead, they come right back, and they're haunting the Huskies. Ponder.
24, Derek Ponder.
That gives them a little bit of relief, but it's just a 2-possession game. Clock's not a factor yet.
Cranford to Harris with a circus shot. Couldn't finish it. Bonds turned it over. Simmons. Save for 3. No. Cranford follow-up. That one doesn't roll home. And a foul inside against Detroit Redford.
Man, they came back. They came back and gave it a shot.
Redford foul, 22.
They show you something. Robert Rogers wants a timeout.
This was the second in a series of turnovers. And that could have easily have been a 3-point play right there. But then again, as I said earlier, when you have to apply pressure, sometimes you will leave gaps. And Ponder was able to get inside, get a layup, and give his team a 5-point lead with that.
Robert Rogers, who had a 15-point lead in the first half, had a very comfortable cushion in the second half, then had Derek McDowell make some adjustments, the full court pressure, and Detroit Redford climbed to within 3. It's now a 5-point Pontiac Northern lead with about 19 seconds to go. One of these teams will become the 3rd champion crowned today. Class D final went to Wyoming Tri-Unity. Greg Kelser and John Keating delivered the blow-by-blow. A double-double for Brandon Voorhees. The Class C final went to McBain. A mild upset there, Greg.
McBain beat an undefeated defending champion Kalamazoo Christian on the strength of some unbelievable offensive rebounds.
Kalamazoo Christian's the team that beat Detroit Rogers to get to the state championship game.
Exactly right.
And now this one here has Pontiac Northern on top of Detroit Redford by 5 a little bit later on tonight. Here on Fox Sports Net, it will be the Class B state championship game between Auburn Hills Avondale and Grand Rapids South Christian.
77% shooting, free throw percent shooting. Antonio Bonds goes to the line. Redford hoping that he misses both those splits, keeps this a 2-possession game.
Here's the game that's coming up. Around 8 o'clock tonight. Missed the free throw. Bates Gay with a huge offensive rebound, and he is fouled.
That's a killer there. They got the miss, but couldn't get the rebound.
Bates Gay had 7 rebounds in the win over Saginaw on Friday. That offensive rebound right there for Bates Gay might have been the biggest rebound of the season. The junior toes the line. Simmons is out for Detroit Redford. Vernon Carr is back. Actually, make it Kendrick Moten, number 24, back in. Bates Gay will have 2 free throws. We have an injured Detroit Redford player. It is Ronnie Cranford, who is holding his stomach. I asked Cranford yesterday about playing in a state championship game as a sophomore. He says, there's no question about this. I will respect this. I will learn from this, and I will appreciate this. This is something that some of our coaches and senior leaders have enforced onto the younger players. Hey, listen, don't ever take anything for granted. And he has really stepped forward, hasn't he? 18 points for the sophomore.
He almost brought him all the way back.
Sure did.
You know, I think we need to give the coaches some credit in this game, too. You talked earlier about Derek McDowell and the job that he's done. Redford getting here, they beat Finney, they beat a lot of teams they weren't expected to beat. And here never quit in this game as he challenged them big time in the first half. And then, of course, Robert Rogers and all the poise he showed.
Now, this thing has been everything we expected and more. We still have 15 seconds left to go in regulation with Pontiac Northern holding on to a 5-point lead. Back in the Class A state championship tilt with only 15 seconds to go and Pontiac Northern on top.
Hey, you know, the other thing, as I was saying when we went to break, Robert Rogers, he showed a lot of poise, especially at halftime when he talked about, you know, the game being a game of spurts and his team had just blown a 15-point lead. Didn't get rattled. Say, hey, you know, we're happy to have the 4-point halftime lead. We'll come back. We'll play better in the second half. I think that third quarter when his team showed a lot of discipline and poise, shooting 90%, really echoed what he demonstrated.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hitting 10 of 11 shots from the field. 64-58 the lead. Carr for 3. Off the rim. Rebound tapped inside. And we'll have a jump ball with 6.2 seconds left. The possession arrow in favor of Pontiac Northern.
That's going to do it, I do believe.
No question about it. Lester Abram and the Huskies will become the 16th team to win at least back-to-back state championships at the Class A level.
Lester Abram, we knew he would be big. He's been big all throughout this tournament. There are his numbers culminating with the 17 points. He may get a couple more on the free throw line right now. And Ponder, 20 points in the quarters, 16 in the semis, 19 today, and a whole lot of terrific rebounding. And Pontiac Northern is going to repeat as a champion in the Class A. First time a team has done that since Pershing in the early 90s.
Last time 92-93 under Johnny Gostin. Detroit Pershing won back-to-back state championships over Benton Harbor.
And maybe we should take this opportunity to send our condolences to the family of Johnny Gostin, who just passed away mid last week at the age of 48.
Abram's second free throw is good. I guess you could call Abram and Ponder the big dogs of Pontiac Northern. They are your Class A state champions.
Class A championship game. Pontiac Northern 66,
There's the repeat sign you expected to see from the folks who are in full support of Pontiac Northern, the Huskies. Lester Abram, 19 points, 8 rebounds on 6 of 10 shooting. His teammate and one of his best friends, Derek Ponder, 19 points and 11 rebounds to give Robert Rogers and Pontiac Northern their second straight Class A state championship. An impressive run made by Detroit Redford as well, but it was the Huskies of Pontiac Northern who were the lead dog in this slate today.
Well, it was them that imposed their will on Redford. It never was a slowdown game like Redford felt they needed to have. It was played in the full court. It was played in the up-tempo fashion, and that played to Pontiac Northern's strength. And that's largely the reason now that they're celebrating two-time champion.
And we have co-players of the game, and Lester Abram and Derek Ponder both are standing by with our own Trevor Thompson. Trev?
Thank you very much, Matt. Two guys who both put up 19 points apiece. First, let's talk with you, Lester. How's it feel to go out on top?
It feels good. This is our main goal from the beginning of the year, and we accomplished our goal. It feels real good.
Better the first or the second time?
Second time, because we weren't expected to win last year. This year we was expected to win it. We had a target on our back, and we followed through with a championship victory.
You had a great tournament. Congratulations. Derek, you twisted that knee late in the game. I imagine winning here eases that pain a bit.
No, I don't got no pain. I'm just glad we won.
How's it feel for you to win this thing back-to-back?
We expected to win our senior year, so it feels good. It feels great, actually. I can't wait to get back home.
These guys never gave up, and they're the defending champions in the Class A. Matt, back to you.
All right, Trevor, thank you very much. They had a 16-point lead at one point, dwindled down to 3. Detroit Redford got close, but then Pontiac Northern showed why they are state champions. They kicked it into a higher gear and rolled to the 8-point win.
Athletic Association Representative Council will make an outstanding season.
Derek McDowell, Tyan Sukkot back on, accepts the runners-up trophy at midcourt, and now Eric Forsyth will announce the state champions for the second straight season, Pontiac Northern.
And now, the 2002 Michigan High School Athletic Association Class A champions, the Huskies of Pontiac Northern. First, we will present the individual medals. Number 10, Sean Moore. Number 12, Dominique Hardiman. Number 14, Anthony Rogers. Number 15, Bates Gay. Number 22, Juan Delahunte. 25, David Stevens. 31, Mike Morris. 33, Brian Abram. 34, Devon Johnson. Number 21, Antonio Bonds. 23, John Cantrell. 24, Derek Ponder. Number 30, James Smith. And 32, Lester Abram. And accepting the championship trophy, Coach Robert Rogers. Congratulations to the Husky of Pontiac Northern, the 2002 Class A boys basketball champions.
Pontiac Northern dominates the first and third quarters, and that was good enough to help them gain their second straight state championship here at the Breslin Center in East Lansing. They came together at the beginning of the year in an effort to try and reach a common goal, a goal that was achieved last year, and they did it again this year. A very impressive win, Greg Kelso.
Give them credit, because when you're a defending champion, you are a marked team all season long. They got through it, losing just 4 games,
but getting in stride when the tournament approached.
Well, our next game is the Class B final between Grand Rapids South Christian and Auburn Hills Avondale, coming up at 8 o'clock. For Greg Kelser, Trevor Thompson, and our entire Fox Sports Net crew, my name is Matt Shepard, saying so long from the Breslin Center in East Lansing, where the final score of the Class A title tilt was Detroit Redford 58, Pontiac Northern 66, the state champions. You've been watching high school basketball on Fox Sports Net. The Detroit Sports Report comes tonight at 10. Watch, you got to see this next.